Hello, everyone, and welcome to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. Come to you, as always, from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful eyes of the Galactic Empire. My name is John Mark Tolley, and joining me, as always, back from his hiatus. And I know what you were doing, Joe.
Sleeping?
You were out there. Yeah, that's what they say. You were giving all the information to your Imperial overlords, weren't you? You were giving all the information about what us rebel scum have been doing.
Which, we're not really worried. You guys are pretty boring. So I got a promotion for what little information I was able to gather from you guys. And it was just, kind of a slow debriefing. We played ping pong while talking. We watched Dark Helmet. Had to see some Spaceballs because we figure that's more what the Rebel Alliance is like. Oh. Yep. You and your Jedi fans.
Yeah.
So you celebrating?
We have the Schwartz. Oh, wow. So today's show is going to be a little bit interesting. And this is one that we're hoping to get all of you guys out there on our Facebook Live page, Facebook Live, and here in the chat as we discuss something that I don't know if is sometimes can be kind of difficult to talk about, I think, especially when you're with guys, is mental health and how each one of us might have dealt with it, and how Star Wars might have
assisted
in getting through, different, maybe some difficult times in our lives. And I think one thing that most people that are into fandoms have in common, a lot of times, is a lot of us seem to be always on the outside of society. Where for I think historically speaking, I think it's only been in the last few years, maybe the last decade, that being a nerd, quote unquote, has become cool. So, I grew up dealing, with, being made fun of, being, an outsider. And, Star Wars and other fandoms are always something that I could escape into for me. They're always an escape. This fantasy world.
That's some of the reason you took the heat, though? Because you could escape into the Star Wars?
I think so. It was kind of like, it was I want to say chicken and egg, but it was like almost one thing caused the other, and they were kind of meshed together. And, I don't know if it was because I was into Star Trek and Star Wars and those kind of quote unquote nerdy things, that's what made me, how do I say this?
The geek you are.
That's today. That's what caused me to be a target for, or if it, because I was already a target for those kind of things, that kind of led me more into it. That kind of pushed me more.
Well, yeah, for me, it was similar. I mean, early 80s, come on. Yeah. Definitely didn't want to be a geek then. So basically, I had two lives. At high school, in school, I was the track runner, the straight A student, hang out with the ski clubs and all the fun stuff. And, Friday or Saturday night, at least one of the nights on the weekend was spent, going on dates or hanging out with my pals from school. And then the other weekend night would be geeking out,
Mhm.
watching Star Wars, watching Star Trek stuff, playing Dungeons and Dragons, playing Traveler, and not letting them two cross over.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I didn't have that luxury, I guess you could say. I wasn't athletic type, so I didn't have the luxury of being, being able to be in sports. I was an average student, so I didn't, have that. So I kind of stuck out. That was my problem. Is I stuck out like a sore thumb. I was tall, lank, tall, skinny. Yeah, I just kind of was like, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I was out there every day at lunchtime with my crowd, playing a hardcore game of Ultimate Frisbee and, pounding back and forth in front of the school. No mention of Star Wars. No nerd T-shirts to school. Just you wouldn't have known if you'd seen me at school. And then if you saw me at a game, you'd have gone, no way, this guy's, in with the jock crowd and hanging out with those guys. Yes.
Interesting.
So, but, I'll tell you, one of the things that Star Wars got me through was last year.
Yeah.
Basically all things Marvel, Star Wars, Star Trek. I was in the hospital for upwards of 90 days last year. So those on my pay-per-views, my channels and my laptop were what got me through laying and, not being able to sleep in the middle of the night in the hospital. Stick in my earphones and watch an episode of Star Wars or Star Trek or a Marvel movie. So the nerd is what basically kept me going there. And I'll tell you, it's really pretty good when you're on, even better, say, when you're on morphine or Dilaudid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're really good then, especially fresh after the shot.
Yeah.
Click that button. Enjoy the show.
Yes. So,
welcome, Scott.
You can see how much
Sylvia over on Facebook Live.
Okay.
Glad to see you joining us. We're talking mental health and how Star Wars may have helped you or assisted you with anything like that.
Saying you can, if you want to hop in.
So I am watching the the Facebook Live post. So if you guys want to jump on, put some comments on there. We will do our best to answer them. Oh, and here comes Todd the Geek.
We're joined by Todd the Geek.
What's up,
we
fellas?
Can't see it.
Hello,
Todd, the 206 Geek.
There I am. That would be me. That would be me.
Hello, Todd.
I'm almost 50, so I remember when Star Wars was out in theaters. Still Star Wars.
You're a
and
child.
not episode.
You're almost 50. Yeah, I'm sitting in at 55, man.
Oh, okay, I'm not the oldest one in the room. That's good.
No, well, normally when I'm with my group of gaming friends, I'm the youngest one in the room. So,
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of scary when you think about it.
In the room myself when I'm nerding out on here on Gut Film. So yeah.
So I'm Joe. If you didn't
But yeah,
guess,
no, I
Mark
remember.
Okay.
Hey, hi guys, Mark and Joe. Thanks for letting me come on.
Oh, sure.
No problem.
I've been a long time Star Wars fan myself, and yeah, I remember back in the '80s where there was relatively nothing on TV past like 1986 as far as Star Wars, and there wasn't anything except for the occasional like on HBO or Showtime when they would replay the old movies. I think all the animated stuff was like in the early 80s, like around the Jedi, when Jedi first came out. So those only lasted maybe a season. and the droids cartoon and the Ewoks.
Yeah.
And then 86 is when we got the made for TV. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was a rough time period. There was a dry spell.
Oh yeah.
And you may have noticed, being one of those older guys like you, it's Star Wars 77 to me. There is no such thing as A New Hope. Because
I just call it Star Wars. I don't even add the 77. I just Star Wars.
I started adding the 77 for our guests and listeners, because they would be like, which one?
Oh, I get what you're saying. Like Batman 66. Okay.
Yeah, so I had to add that on there so that they go, oh, okay. Why do you call it that, Joe? Because that's all it was called when it came out, Star Wars.
It was Star Wars.
In like the mid to late 90s, 20th Century Fox released a DVD with both the theatrical version and the special edition. I bought those when they since. And that was the only time when they were on VHS for the first time.
Yeah. I was stationed over in England in the latter half of the 80s, and we survived on 2 pirated copies of Star Wars and Empire. So, halfway through the film, the first episode, Star Wars, you'd suddenly see the screen tilt because he had to hide the camera from somebody walking through the theater, and then the camera goes back up to the movie. So yeah, those were very popular, though, being in the military, and it's the only way to see them.
Right.
And even then, they were very helpful because, late 80s in Europe, you're talking the height of the Cold War. We didn't know if the wall was coming down or we were going to start throwing ballistic missiles at each other. We were in England. We were deploying the Glickums, the ground launch cruise missiles at the time, and Russia's deploying as much of stuff as they could, and it got kind of ugly there for a little while. So being able to lose ourselves in Star Wars, we were getting anything that was science fiction fandom over there, begging I'm messaging Mama to, somebody send me a copy of Logan's Run. Somebody send me every episode of Star Trek to record. That new Next Generation thing that's coming out. Send me VHSs of that. So
wow,
it was very high and dry. We had 4 television channels in the country at the time. 3 of them were government owned. So, what did we get? Some Doctor Who and some Red Dwarf.
Can't go wrong with that. I mean,
yeah, but they were still, once a weekers.
Well, they were Red Dwarf came out in 19.
Yeah, once a week in 88. So It wasn't like now where you could binge watch the entire series and really enjoy yourself. It was network TV.
What?
Well, it was the BBC's. Yeah. Let's rephrase that. It wasn't even really network TV. It was BBC 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Right. No, I got introduced to Red Dwarf through our local public broadcasting, PBS in Seattle, and they would have their marathons to raise money for public broadcasting, and they would actually get the actors from England to come over and do with the fans and stuff. It was pretty awesome.
That's cool.
Got to meet 2 of the guys from that show once. It's pretty awesome.
So I gotta ask, how has Star Wars helped you anyway? Growing up, as far as dealing with issues you might have had, whether it be depression or just, in life in general, life just kind of, sometimes life can get you down, but.
Well, I mean, it definitely helps on days where I'm not feeling great about myself. I'll just pop in one of the movies and be able to zone out for a couple hours and just and watch Luke and Leia and Han and all that, and and now with 40 years later, we have nine episodic movies, and then we have all these side movies that came out in most recent years too. I have a lot to watch if I'm having a shit day. So
Yeah.
and I can spend all day watching Star Wars if I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, it's definitely like it's an escape. Like I said before at the beginning, you can get lost in the world and just, all your troubles can just kind of float away as you go to the galaxy far, far away, and or at least for that short period of time.
Right. And then of course we've got the others who are, numbering in the thousands now, who just like, Christians or any other religion, they're turning to their faith with the Jedi temples that are popping up.
Yeah.
They turn to their faith, which is the Jedi Order, when they're having problems.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think one thing that helps me is,
I think I remember.
One thing that helps me is like you just said, there are thousands of people. So, on days when I'm like, sometimes you feel like there's no one else who understands, you're all alone, but then you realize there are thousands, if not millions of people out there that are Star Wars fans that you're not, and that goes with any fandom, there's, and with the internet now, it makes it even easier to connect with those people to, whether it be you're a doctor, whether you're a Whovian, whether you're a Trekkie, whether you're a Star Wars geek,
or all of
whatever it is. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
You can find people that, like-minded, that think like you. You have shows like this, podcasts that are all over. So
now, what about trolls? Are they dealing with Star Wars for their mental health, or are they feeding it? Their anxieties and their depressions and their own inadequacies.
I think they're feeding it.
Both. I mean, it depends on the troll, clearly, but I think there's a little bit of both there. I think some of them are doing it to, and also I think it's just, I don't know. And I've had my days where I've been a bit of a troll myself, but I don't go. That's usually within my circle of friends. I don't really troll people I don't know, and I usually don't carry it too far. At least I try not to.
Yeah,
but
the ones I'm really thinking of are I'm purposely going to start an argument every single day on this Facebook group that I'm a part of. We just we belong. I know Mark and I both do to My Star Wars Life, and the admin just had to repost our rules, which is basically, if you don't like Star Wars or you're here just to argue, go away. These are our rules, and it's always been. And the trolls have been pretty vicious the last few weeks that have been popping up on there. And
there's another Facebook group that I was a part of. He had to do the same thing, and one of them was no politics, no outside Earth politics. He's like, it's fine. People say like, oh, Star Wars is politics. Like, that's fine. If you want to talk about Trade Federation tax rights, go right ahead.
Right.
And then he also posted one for no posting clickbait sites. No, nothing from any of the I can't even think what the different sites are, but nothing from like Mike Zero or We Got This Covered or anything like that are obviously clickbait sites.
Yeah. I used to share stuff from We Got This Covered until someone says, yeah, that's a lot of believe anything.
Yeah, We Got This Covered is like the worst. Is the worst of it. Oh. There's even a meme now.
I was gonna say I just posted a meme a couple weeks ago, like right before the release of episode Mandalorian. I said that Mandalorian has managed to do what Firefly wanted to do 20 years ago. Get a second season.
Yeah, I saw that one.
And I initially just posted it on my Instagram, and the next thing you know, Somebody else had shared it, and it got shared over, was it like 2,000 times? I'm like, holy crap, that's the first time I've had anything go viral. That's crazy. And it was not necessarily meant as a burn on brown coats. It was,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it kind of was, but it was more tongue in cheek than it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw someone that's similar to that was like, why is Mandalorian a better space western than Firefly?
Second
season 2.
That's what I wrote. Yeah.
You know, we will see if it has the longevity, though.
Exactly why I wrote.
We still have to see if it has the longevity that Firefly has had. For his show that got a single season,
dude.
That has been amazing. Firefly.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Well, I guess, I mean, fandoms will be around a lot of different things. And let's be honest, it only got one season. It literally took me 5 times to try watching that series before I was actually able to finish it. I'd get 4 episodes in and would fall asleep every single time.
Eject this guy from the show.
I skipped to the 5th episode and watched it from there, and I was fine. And the reason why I did that is because I read someplace that Fox didn't even air it in the correct order. They started with episode 5 and they went beyond, and then once they got towards the end, they put in those first 4 episodes towards the end.
Yeah.
And so I mean the show was pretty good once you got past those first 4 episodes. And you know,
I've heard a lot of people say that too about Firefly, that it was the show that you struggled through the first half of it, and you're like, oh, is this show ever going to pick up? And then by the end of it, you're like, no, why did they cancel this show? Why?
Yeah.
Well, and you know, sci-fi for the 90s. If you weren't a major hit immediately, you got 1 season.
Mm-hmm.
Firefly, Space Above and Beyond, Alien Nation. You know, it was just boom. You're gone. You're gone. You're gone. We'll let you finish the season, and then we never want to hear from you again. And that unfortunately for us geeks made the distance between Star Wars so much greater, because we'd find a show and we'd go, oh, finally something that's good sci-fi, and we'd lose it immediately.
Right.
So I know I went through major conventions because there was nothing on worth watching.
Yeah. Well, even now, you know, there's been some really good, and me and my wife talk about how this all the time, how we'll find a show that we really, really like that's got good writing and, you know, good smart writing, good acting. And then I'm thinking of Timeless. That was an excellent show, time travel show. It was on CBS. They did 1 season and then they canceled it. And then the fans basically pulled an original Star Trek, the original series, where they got so many letters written in, so many emails written into CBS saying, we want to bring back this show. So they did 2 seasons and a movie to finish it out. But that was a really, really good show, which has a Star Trek or Star Wars connection, because the star of the show was also the voice of Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars.
Oh, wow.
So the guy who was the star in the show Timeless did the voice of Anakin.
Well, it's been so dry for me that, you know, after I made the jokes about BBC One and BBC Two, I now spend most of my time watching British television. You know, I've got
nothing wrong with that.
Oh, no. I mean, I love the dry humor. I spent 4 years with them. Police procedurals are much better and much more believable than ours, because, you know, they don't solve every crime in every episode. And their DNA doesn't take 8 hours to get the responses back. But even now, I'm almost feeling a dry spell again for episodic, non-pay science fiction.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not really.
I mean, unless you're paying for Disney Plus, you're not getting the Marvels. You're not getting the Mandalorian. You know, if you're not playing for the All Access with CBS, you're not getting Picard or Discovery or was Below Decks,
Lower decks.
So I mean, what's on broadcast or Netflix or anything else that's a really good episodic science fiction?
Right now, there isn't. Everything's on hold because of COVID.
Yeah, everything's on hold. Well, even then, only thing I can think of that would be considered like a kind of a science fiction-y on like broadcast TV that at least that I watch would be Manifest on CBS, and that's on hiatus right now. But other than that, yeah, there's not really. I can't really think of anything.
Yeah, because you can't count on Netflix anymore, even if it makes it in the top 10 for weeks and weeks and weeks. It still could end up with a cut. Hillary Swank's Away took that hard cut after only a single season. They kind of left us hanging. They land on Mars, and we're never going to find out what happens. So that's where we have to fall back on for our own mental health as being total geeks and nerds. Are the DVDs, the replays,
right.
The Star Trek movies, just jumping back and catching all of those again for our escapism. I mean, I just finished over yesterday and today, the original Lord of the Rings trilogy extended editions again. You know, had those playing in the background because I needed a super geek fix where I didn't have to think.
It's funny you mentioned Timeless is actually, I think, on Hulu right now.
It probably is. Yeah. It's a good, if you haven't watched it, definitely.
I'm looking at this list on .com for like science fiction TV shows. Of course, a lot of it's on like in streaming services, but there's a few that look like they're older shows that were on network television.
Yeah, Timeless is definitely a good. If you like time travel shows, it's definitely a good good show. A little bit Doctor Who, a little bit kind of. I want to say space adventure. Like they go like not space, but they like basically travel through time and. They're trying to catch this one guy. The first season, they're basically trying to catch this guy who's traveling through time to try and screw things up, mess up the timeline. So they're trying to go through and catch him and fixing mistakes in the timeline as they go through. But it's a really good show. I highly recommend it.
Cool. I'll have to check it out.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. You know, I've been on a Doctor Who kick. So unfortunately, I'm not able to actually find any place where I can watch the shows for free. So I've been going on YouTube and just catching clips here and there and just kind of reminiscing about some of my favorite moments throughout the years. And, you know, but like you said, I mean, that's the problem is everything now is paid. You know, you have to pay for everything. So, you know, unless you catch it like when it comes out, you know, unless you have a cable package that has BBC America and you catch it on its initial run, finding, you know, it's getting harder and harder to.
I have no cable. We got rid of that a couple of years ago and went to straight Roku. And onlining. So, you know, my channels are right now I can put the regular networks on there, CBS, ABC, and get a limited number of their shows, but none of the new stuff.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then otherwise, I am, Netflix, Amazon Prime, BritBox, all of those are where I have to get my shows. And I still spend less than we did when we had cable. And I think I've got 7 or 8.
There's actually a couple of streaming services that are free. Amongst those, there's Tubi TV, which has free television and movies. There's Pluto TV, and then the most recent one that's only becoming popular in the last year or two is IMDb TV, which has actually a lot of really cool sci-fi stuff.
I watch Pluto every once in a while. They do have some good old some sci-fi. They have Mystery Science Theater 3000 on there, so I watch that a lot. I always that's always fun.
Yeah, and I think Peacock has recently come out, which is
they have
NBC's right now, and I think Peacock is free.
Yeah, and that.
Peacock.
Yeah, well, mostly. I mean,
they have some you could go on and buy.
They have the the IMDb has Warehouse 13 and Eureka, which are both great shows that were like original programming for Sci-Fi Channel.
I do, yes, yeah.
I've been all those. I'm looking at their
we keep losing your mic, Todd. Just so you know, you
keep cutting out
a little bit.
That's all right. Let me close all these extra windows. Then I might be killing myself here with loading stuff up, and it's just my internet right now is a LTE hotspot, so it can be kind of tricky.
I keep telling Mark, dude, you've got to run a hard line.
I know. The issue is that where I record at, because I like to have like a little privacy, is in basically it's a laundry room, and our actual internet connection is in the other room, in the TV room. So
mine is right there. That's my internet. That's my game system internet, and of course it's the studio. You can tell by the soundproofing and everything else. Retirement does have its benefits. I've got a little more soundproofing to do.
You said Roku earlier. I have a Fire TV myself, and that's how I discovered the IMDb TV is because it's a built-in app on Fire TV.
It's built in if you're Amazon Prime too. It's listed as a free service.
Well, it's free if you don't have Prime. It's free if you don't have Prime. It's IMDb is free, regardless.
It just makes it a little easier if everything's in one spot, and I try to do that. I've taken my Apple TV on my phone and basically linked everybody to it. Stars, HBO Max, Hulu, everything can link right to that. You have just basically one place to go search. Type in what you're looking for, and it'll check out all of them.
And a series that I recently started watching, it only has, I think, like 8 episodes because I think it's originally a British show, is Truth Seekers. And it's Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, the guys from like Shaun of the Dead and those movies. It's pretty. Has a very Doctor Who feel to it. Doctor Who meets like X-Files.
I will definitely have to check that out. Where's that one at?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's on Amazon. It's an Amazon original.
I'm going to have to dig a little deeper.
I think I've seen some.
Wow, you cleared up a lot.
That's probably because I moved my internet over to Zit. It's kind of like Ghost Hunters if they actually found ghosts. So.
So if you weren't so bored going, are you ever going to find anything, or are you just going to keep faking it?
Ghost Hunters never tried to fake it. Like Ghost Adventures, those are the guys who are like, "Come on, Ghost! I bet you can't scare me!" Ha ha! You know,
Throw stuff at them.
it's like, well, I mean, seriously, Ghost Adventures is like if Ghost Hunters and Jersey Shore became a new show. You know,
Interesting concept.
Oh.
and a bunch of dude bros in backwards baseball caps and yelling at in empty spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Back to Star Wars.
Yeah.
it's getting hard to, and I know the hiatus is killing us. It's killing all of us, trust me.
Yeah.
You know, filming
Yeah.
anything and the rules, especially out here in California, to put together a film team. 14 days of confinement by the entire film crew and all the actors in a hotel somewhere where you're going to be filming
Right.
nearby after being tested. Then I think it's weekly testing of the team. If one person comes back positive, all filming stops and everybody goes back into quarantine. And, you know,
Right.
just financially, it's not worth it
Yeah.
Yeah.
for us out here. You know, I'm not even shooting shorts right now, let alone any feature films. And I'm not even trying to, you know, I've got a wonderful sci-fi script ready to go. You know, we've talked about it, Mark, with The Last Battleship. I'm not even trying to market it right now because nobody's putting money into anything unless your name is Marvel, and then you're getting your money from Disney anyway. You know, Disney, you know, Star Wars or anything like that. But as far as finding investors, banks that want to put money into a film, they have no idea what's going to happen into next year. So they're very antsy about signing those checks, which means a lot of us independent filmmakers are sitting on the backbench going, well, I've got some really good product that I can't do anything with. So, you know,
I've
what's that?
I was gonna say I've heard that the technology that they use for The Mandalorian for like filming all those exterior in front of a giant video wall.
Yeah,
Start using that for other shows. I think I'm trying to remember what show it was. I just heard that they were going to start using that technology because then they don't have to actually go.
It's pretty awesome.
Go someplace that's on quarantine.
Right. The only problem is you still got, you know, your crew in there, so you're still stuck with that. And then the initial investment for that technology is not cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
Once you get 2 or 3 movies done on it, you know, what you paid for your studio and used it a couple times, then it's great. But until then, it's like for us, you know, independents, we're still really green roomed and green screen, blue screen heavy.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of computer, CGI and that type of thing. And yeah, I could be putting stuff together. I could hire people to work from home, but without me being able to get the investment in, I can't even say, hey, dude, how much would you, to go with this? I have one of the greatest special effects, you know, for gore and damage and injury. Joe Castro is signed on, but we're sitting there with him, can't even get going there on designing anything because of just the costs he would have to incur. And I couldn't reimburse at this point.
Yeah.
So, you know, understanding the hiatus, I'm thinking I would like to see more animation stuff maybe pop out.
That would be great.
I think
the show Black that was all animated because of COVID.
Yeah, and I did just really enjoy Blood of Zeus. I don't know if you're into Greek mythology, but it was done in the American anime style, and it's by a couple of the guys who did like the Immortals and a couple of other good Greek films. It was actually really good. I believe it was on Prime. So
I'll have to check that out. We have Prime, so I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, we had a Prime or Netflix. Those are the two I go back and forth for.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, but I did enjoy it. It was real good. I binged it in a day and a half. So it was something, especially like me. I have not been out of this house since like April. Because I am, quote, high risk. So I can't afford, I get COVID, I'm dead. I'm one of those statistics that were, due to complications from COVID-19, my heart and my lungs quit working. I have no doubt. I have a scar that runs from my neck down, basically all the way. And yes, science fiction, Star Wars, and medications are the reason I am still sane.
Yeah.
I think we can all kind of say that.
Well, I mean, you get out of the house.
We're going
working,
to
Mark. You get to go to work. My son goes to work. My roommate's going to start going back to work here on Friday. His job opens back up. I don't know about you, Todd, but like I seriously have not been anywhere. The grocery store was in April.
Hey, it's Brian from accounting.
Brian from accounting. What's up? Jump on, Brian from accounting.
Hey.
We're talking mental health.
Welcome.
And we know you'd be good on this subject.
Yeah, I only leave the house if I need to go to the store for food and stuff. I don't really go anywhere else.
Yeah, I just make lists. My son and my roommate are real good. They know the problem, so I just make lists, and one or both or somebody goes on and gets it. Takes the list, it goes and gets me everything I need.
That's awesome.
Since I'm the cook for the whole household too.
There you go.
And then I put these, do these shows, which are a lot of fun and good time.
Yeah.
It looks like Brian's going to jump on with us here in a minute.
I was also going to say, I found that on the NBC app, and probably even on the website, they have the original Battlestar Galactica.
Yep.
You can watch for free.
Yep, I killed that about a month ago. All of them. Campy, but wonderful.
There's
70s.
There's Brian.
What's up, nerds?
Hey, big nerd. The nerd from accounting. Look at that.
Oh.
Todd, Brian.
So, we're just talking about how...
Introduce you. Todd felt sorry for us when
we were just talking.
Two of us had jumped on to help Brian. So,
what's up?
Yeah. We were just talking about how Star Wars or fandom in general might have helped us through some dark times and, times, growing up. And, I don't know about you, but I was talking about how I was always the nerd in school. I was the guy that was always picked on, always kind of like, and it was partly because, self-fulfilling prophecy, here I am watching nerdy stuff and I get made fun of for being a nerd, and that pushes me even more into the nerd camp.
Right.
So I didn't want to know how Star Wars may have helped you through, through some dark times and through some time, where you might be down or, dealing with depression or anything like that. And, it's kind of what we're talking about.
Right on. Yeah, no, when I was growing up, I was picked on a lot in school, and I was shortest kid in my class, and I just got picked on all the time. And then my mother showed me Star Wars when I was like 6 or 7, and I would go to school and get bullied relentlessly and then come home and escape into this universe. At the time we only had the original 3 films. Mm-hmm. The special edition wasn't even out yet. And I had one VHS tape with those 3 films on them back to back. You could fit like 3 movies on a VHS tape back then. And I had all 3 of them on there. My mother had recorded off of Sci-Fi. And those really got me through it quite a bit. And it's something that even on my show, I've had people write in before. As a matter of fact, I had one girl named, I still remember her name. It was Sadie. She wrote in about a year ago, talking about how Star Wars is getting her through, all this stuff in life. She had autism, and people made fun of her all the time. And so Star Wars was kind of her escape. I see exactly where you guys are coming from.
Yeah.
It definitely,
and that's the thing with fandom. I just watched an interview with James Doohan from Star Trek fame a couple of days ago, And he'd actually gotten a fan letter from a young woman, and the letter disturbed him so much that he tracked down where she really was and got, I don't know, it was police or fire or somebody do it. She was ready to commit suicide.
Yeah.
And she was writing him to say he inspired her, but she not enough, and blah blah blah. She was gonna go. And I guess he also got the chance to meet her later on in his life. So, you know, there's the direct. I mean, that's a direct fandom intervention.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You have to think too. How many actors would actually read the letter and go, "Wow, this one worried me so much. I'm going to track her down and notify the police."
Yeah. Wow.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think like Mark Hamill probably would, just because he's so.
I think Mark
finger on the pulse. He knows his fandom.
Yeah.
And just seems to be really on it more often than not.
But
I
mean, Mark Hamill.
Well, I mean,
computer nerd. I'm not comic book nerd. He knew all about like Batman before he even got the job of the Joker.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I loved how he read tweets too, in the Joker's voice from a certain person.
That was funny.
Joker, yeah.
Yes, I have a friend who can do a perfect Mark Hamill Joker. But yeah, I mean, I was like I said before you got on here, I was the same way, except I was the tall, skinny kid in school, and especially 8th grade. I mean, it was, you know, constant harassment at school, and you know, just it got to the point that when I went back my freshman year, one of the kids who was in my class looked at me and says, "You came back? You didn't switch schools?" I'm like, I really got no choice in the matter.
And then I was talking
making a list right now.
How I kept it separate. High school and geekdom. They did not cross over. I had a couple of friends that were both, but they were kind of the same way as I was. At school, we were one crowd. When we were playing Dungeons and Dragons and rolling dice, we were a whole different crowd.
Closet nerds.
Closet nerds.
Yeah.
Well, you know, this is 79 through 83.
Yeah.
They were still making movies about throwing the nerds in the lockers and leaving them in there overnight and stuff.
And nowadays, it's cool to be a nerd. And you know what's funny? As I've gotten older, I remember when I say I was bullied in school, I mean I was bullied in school. You guys are gonna laugh, but even girls used to pick on me. Like it was this bad, right? And all these girls are, oh, look at the nerd, you know, and I'll read his stupid little fucking comic books and all this stuff. And now you see those same girls on Facebook dressing up as Harley Quinn, saying, "I want to love like the Joker," you know, all this crap. Like, it's cool to be a nerd now.
Yeah, but then there's the real nerds like us that go, "It's cool. You want to be, you know, love like Joker, so you want somebody who's going to pound on your head all day long." Abuse you.
Here's a little case of Stockholm syndrome.
Do you really want that?
Obviously, you haven't ever seen the real stuff, have you?
They don't know what Stockholm syndrome is.
Movies are she's abused and mistreated. So people who are romancing or shipping rather Joker and Harley Quinn really aren't seeing that that's a very toxic relationship, and that she could totally kick his ass to the curb and just hook up with Ivy.
But the posters look so nice.
They always show him
all the
cuddly.
posters so nice. Mr. J. Anyway.
And I like to dress like her.
Anyway,
I mean, I've watched it explode. Todd probably has two age-wise. You know, when there were one or two cons, you know, one was a Star Trek con back in the day, and then there was maybe like DundraCon, which was more of a Dungeons and Dragons and that side of the geekdom.
Right.
You know, Comic-Cons? What? Never heard of those things.
Comic-Cons have been around since like the late 70s, I think San Diego Comic-Con has been around since I think the 80s, but it legit started off as like a small room full of like dealers and artists, and that was it.
They weren't really Comic-Cons, is what we know today.
You
know, even
more of a pop culture.
The Star Trek weren't even the Comic-Cons. You know, it's not Star Trek Las Vegas like it is today. It was, one room with some vendors and stuff, and then a separate room where if they were lucky enough to get one of the actors or more to come in and do a on stage talk.
Mhm.
Yeah. Then you got
See, and you went from that to having like Hall H now at Comic-Con that you just pack it and you never know what you're going to get in Hall H. And it's always these big epic presentations and announcements. And you got Tom Hiddleston coming out as Loki, telling everybody to kneel before them. Like, it's just this giant, it's its own culture now. I mean, it's always been its own culture, but now it's like, it was, when I was growing up, it was kind of a subculture. Now it's a culture.
Yeah.
It's an actual
we're going to become cool to be, geek.
Yeah.
You guys gave us all such a hassle.
I think.
Yeah.
I think
honestly,
I think we can.
Go ahead.
I would pinpoint it like when the Marvel movies started coming out.
The MCU.
I think that's when it really started. When like Iron Man hit and Iron Man got really bad. Like you had the Batman movies and you could start to see the tide start turning with the Nolan Batman movies.
Right, and you could still walk through San Diego Comic-Con until the MCU hit.
And then the MCU came out. Iron Man came out, and you started to see this. That's when I think the tide started to turn. With that one, and then as it started going, it kind of snowballed from there, and it just went. Which leads to the question: is it a bubble, and is this bubble going to burst?
Right.
Is the nerd bubble going to burst?
I don't know, man. We just had Infinity War and Endgame back to back, a year apart, and you're talking about two movies that cost $1 billion total to make.
Yeah,
and just insane returns.
Right.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's stronger now than ever.
And it's actually going to be hungrier now because of COVID.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's helped. Is the fact that
theaters reopen the way they did. Yeah, it's all going to depend on theaters and theatrical release and how that goes.
I just told Kirsty the other day, one thing I really miss doing is just going to the movie theater.
Oh, yeah.
I miss it so much.
I thought the same thing.
Luckily,
I legit actually subscribe to Regal Cinemas, whatever they call it, the subscription thing where you can go see movies whenever. And I paid $20, $25 a month to be able to go to see movies. I subscribed to that like literally a month before COVID hit, and I used it twice.
Yeah. Luckily,
the last theater I was in was Rise of Skywalker.
Same.
The last time I saw a movie in the theater.
Sadly,
we're lucky here. We have a small art theater that had opened up and was playing. They're doing a lot of old releases, like older movies. So we went and saw Back to the Future, and at the end of the theaters, and we just saw a couple of weeks ago Lost Boys.
Didn't you go see Jurassic Park?
Yeah, we saw Jurassic Park. So I
thought you told me about that one. Yeah.
Back to the Future, and we saw Lost Boys, which you want to talk about campy. Oh,
that's another thing.
Lost Boys was campy.
That's another thing too that kind of changed with comic book culture. The movies used to be campy. When you look at the old, like before Marvel Studios was a thing, when it was just Marvel movies like Fantastic Four, X-Men not so much. X-Men was kind of the first that kind of came in and was kind of grounded in the real world. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I think that kind of helped push it along too, because they were always so campy. I mean, even look at, as great as they are, look at the Tim Burton Batman movies. They're campier than hell.
Yeah.
And then you go straight from like Tim Burton Batman into like Christopher Nolan Batman. And when you start getting these giant names attached to these productions, that's when you start to lend credibility to them too. And it actually starts to bring in more people and a bigger general audience. And that's when it really starts to take off.
Now, let me ask you this question. Do you think that as these movies become, more ingrained in culture and more acceptable, do you think that those of us who in the cool to be a nerd areas, that they can have some resentment, that they can be like, that's where you get sometimes, we talked about this before, gatekeeping, well, you're not a fan unless you do, the toxic fan base. Do you think that there's some resentment in there from that, those fans that can remember the old days when it was like, well, I remember if you were a Star Trek fan, if you like Star Trek, you were going to be beaten up. If you like Doctor Who, oh yeah, no, you're going to be shoved in the locker. But now it's like, oh yes, I love Matt Smith. Matt Smith is he's so.
I personally, I don't have any resentment, and I don't think I'm going to, because now we live in a time, like take Star Wars as a great example, right? When I was growing up, we had 3 films, and then we had 3 prequels, and then that was it. There were some books that were coming out in the EU and stuff, but you just couldn't keep up with that. There was so many coming out. But now that it's this giant thing and there's more people clamoring for it, we've gotten 5 new Star Wars movies since 2015. And now we've got new books coming out and new TV shows and new video games. So I really can't resent the fact that it wasn't popular back then, because I'm just so happy that it is now.
And what I have discovered is the gatekeepers aren't the long-term fans like us.
Yeah.
A lot of them are the ones who became huge fans with like Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Avengers came along, a whole nother group became involved. And it's like that first group of Iron Man, Captain America, the first Avenger, that group are like, oh, well, you only think it's cool now because of Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you when, Iron Man was out?
Yeah.
Or you didn't stick around for Iron Man 2. That kind of a thing. It seems it's like the mid 2000 to 2014 are where I see a lot of the gatekeepers. And I ran conventions.
Mm-hmm.
I had 5 Comic-Cons I ran myself, and that's what I was seeing coming through the door, where the toxic fan base were 20 to early 30s, late 20s, early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
The younger crowd was just happy to be there on the most part. And the older crowd was just dressed as stuff no one else recognized.
Yeah.
I honestly think that the gatekeepers are like these hipster kids who don't remember back when these things were not cool. They only know in the last decade, what showed them. They're like, well, you don't understand. I know this because my dad or whatever, I look at those guys and go, you don't know what you're talking about. You weren't there. You weren't even swimming in your dad's nutsack when that movie was out, so shut up.
Yeah, I was still running home from school in order to see Star Trek when it first became.
Oh, my virgin ears.
Yeah, sure, Brian.
Sorry.
Running home from school in order to catch the episodes of Star Trek at 4 p.m. on the syndicated channels.
For me, it was Beast Wars,
right?
Like Transformers, that like computer animated. Yeah.
Or staying up to watch creature features at midnight, so I could catch the old sci-fi stuff. Robinson Crusoe on Mars, Forbidden Planet, and just geeking out on this stuff. Yeah. And it wasn't. And then Star Wars came out, and it changed.
I remember.
Yes.
I remember when Beast Wars came out, I was thinking, wow, this is the first new Transformers we've had
6 months.
No, actually, it was like 95 when Beast Wars came out, and Transformers Generation 1 they stopped production in like 87. So, I mean, it was almost a decade. It was maybe 8 or 9 years. And then it was like this really weird computer generated thing. And I actually kind of got into that late. I didn't initially like it, but as it got towards the end of Beast Wars and became Beast Machines is when I really got into it.
See, I was the complete opposite.
Yeah,
I
I
love
was
Beast Wars, but I hated Beast Machines.
I was totally grown out of it by then.
But
Well-
all these things we're talking about are things we had to do in the closet.
Yeah, you could
Okay.
not be out.
Yeah.
T-shirts?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm not wearing that T-shirt to school.
Oh yeah.
Now, in I will tell you, with Star Wars, elementary and junior high, at the end of that career, yes, I had some Star Wars T-shirts. I wore them. Yes, I got geeked on. Luckily, I could only wear them like once a month because that was the only day we were allowed to not be in school uniform.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the last Friday of the month or something.
Oh, wow.
And so I would wear the original Star Wars T-shirts. But high school, no.
I feel kind of bad for coming in now and just saying, "What's up, nerds?"
Yeah, what's up, nerd?
I feel a little bad about it now.
Yeah, I wish I'd been quicker on it when you came in and said, "What's up, nerd?" I would have said something like, "Nothing, my king. We're doing great."
Nerds with your nerd hair.
Wait, now is that a bald joke? That was a bald
Yes.
joke. I get that.
Yes.
Dude.
Oh.
How many of you guys back and watched the Revenge of the Nerds movies and like realized how cringy those movies are?
Oh, now, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
they were hilarious.
Yeah, and like sneaking into the sorority to putting cameras because that's not
Right.
crazy.
The rape
Yeah.
scene.
Mm.
Yeah, when he puts on the other guy's mask. That's a
Ooh.
pure straight up rape scene.
You said the R word.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I figured we got away with nutsack earlier.
I'm sorry.
Oh man.
I think Mark's trying
Well
to.
then.
I think he's trying to. Yeah.
Yeah. It's past my bedtime. On that note,
On those virgin ears.
War of the Stars has been brought to you by in the past.
I'm sorry.
We have now been demonetized, I'm sure.
My bad.
No, I think we're good.
Yeah, we're good. I think we're good. Yeah. That will wrap us up for this week. Next week, I think Joe, can I hit it? I think we're going to be talking fan films next week here on War of the Stars. So join us for that. And Todd, since you are the brand new guest, why don't you tell people where they can find you at?
Well, I do the 206 Geek here on Get Vocal on Fridays at 7 p.m. Pacific time. I also do just my normal podcast. You can go over to 206geek.com and that will take you to where you can listen. And yeah,
Awesome.
thanks.
Cool. It was a pleasure having you. Stop by anytime. We're here every Wednesday night at around 9 p.m. here on Get Vocal. And Brian, where can people find you?
So you guys can find me at the Star Wars Canon podcast on, I should say, I'm not going to say YouTube because I think I'm not going to put it on YouTube anymore. But the podcast is going to be coming back in the next couple of weeks. I've got 3 co-hosts, new co-hosts that are ready to jump in on the mic and talk about Star Wars. We're real excited about that. This coming, actually, would it be tomorrow? Yeah, it'd be tomorrow night on the Star Wars Canon podcast Facebook page and YouTube channel. All 4 of us are going to be going live for the first time together, doing a Q&A, kind of catching up on Star Wars news and stuff before we get to recording the podcast next week and come back the following weekend. You guys can also find the podcast on the Star Wars Canon Library mobile app, which is available on Google Play right now. This spring, it should be coming out on iOS. Definitely go check out that app. It's completely free. You've got links to all your Canon material where you can purchase it, download it to your phone, an entire color-coded timeline, the podcast, upcoming Canon, a community page so you can go on there and kind of talk to other fans what's going on. It's insane. It's a cool app. So definitely go check that out.
Yeah, very cool. Like I said before, we have it. And also, a little announcement from Mr. Brian. He is the Star Wars Canon podcast is the number, was it 19?
19.
Star Wars, 19th most popular Star Wars
Well, it's
podcast in Egypt.
not just Star Wars and TV and film. In the TV and film
TV
category
and
in Egypt,
film.
number 19.
In Egypt. That's pretty cool, though.
I love Egypt. You guys rock, man.
So, yes, he's huge in Egypt. He's huge in Egypt. Joe, where can people find you at?
Of course, you can always find me right here at War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast, or on One Crit Blunders, a live-action D&D campaign that we play on Sundays. Right now, once a month, but probably going to increase that. You can find me personally at Joe Cahill, director-producer, over on Facebook, or under my company, Steamhouse Entertainment, and some of our films, Night Mistress, The Last Battleship. Check out a lot of the stuff on our shorts. We've got some great shorts. Same thing over there on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me there. And like I said, right here at War of the Stars. And soon you're going to be able to find War of the Stars over on that cool app that Brian was just talking about.
You're welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome for the extra kick there.
As for us right here, of course, if you want to get in touch with us, I can speak. Really, I can. You can do so by emailing us at warofthestars1@gmail.com. That is also our Twitter handle at warofthestars1. Facebook page, check out War of the Stars. It's also the name for the Facebook group. And yeah, we just, hang out there, check it out. Check us out wherever fine podcasts are heard. We are on Spotify. I think we're on Apple Podcast, Stitcher. Just search War of the Stars. You can find us there. As Joe said, we'll soon be on that cool little app. So you can check us out there. Also, Patreon, if you want to support the show, patreon.com/War of the Stars. And remember, the first 12 people that sign up will be entered into a drawing for a $20 gift card to Walmart.
I'm going to go sign up.
So little tiny little incentive there to get it. But yes, that will do it for us this week. And as always, remember, this isn't just my Star Wars. This isn't just your Star Wars. This is our Star Wars. Until next time, may the Force be with you.